Conversation forward. Kajal, good morning. Thank you for joining us. And along with Kajal, we also have Siddharth Purohit. So Siddharth and Kajal, good morning to both of you. Kajal, I want to start the discussion with you. 10 days ago, markets were worried about what IndusInd Bank could declare along with their numbers. Given that they slipped a bit with the LNFS disclosures exactly a year ago, or not a year ago, 9 months ago, markets are getting slightly nervous about what could come out in today's numbers. Is the market justification right?
So yeah, worry is quite possible because what has happened in the recent past. But I believe that largely ILFS issue is behind them. They have provided for it and also done quite a bit of on that. But there can be other exposures which also market is worried about, a bit on ADAG and bit on Diwan. All these things can create some pressure that they can make some higher provisions on that. But net, I think the merger numbers is going to be good. Merger is anyways positive for them. And that way, I think on a sum total basis, the numbers may not be very, very bad is what I believe.
Okay, Siddharth, let's get in your take. Just to take off from that point, the stressed accounts like ILNFS, DHFL, all of those remain a big concern. Do you think that that's really going to be spelt out in this quarterly numbers, and perhaps that we'll see the pain this time around and it'll alleviate in the coming quarters, or will those concerns continue to be a drag on banks' earnings?
Morning. In fact, if you remember just a couple of weeks back, the stock reacted very negatively on concerns towards certain weak sectors and certain accounts which are perceived to be very risky. But the management clarified categorically that the all stressed account combined is something around 1.9% of the total book, and the SMA2 numbers are just 34 basis point of the total book. So I think that addresses the concern. Now, coming back to what possibly could be negative, as far as negativity is concerned, I feel only point is that probably some amount of slowdown that we might see in terms of loan growth. Other than that, I'm not expecting any negativity as far as asset quality is concerned. Now, when I talk about slowdown, let us understand that IndusInd derives almost a quarter of their business from the CV and auto related business, and auto has been quite in a negative territory for last couple of months. So certainly there will be some amount of slowdown in the business growth, but I think that as the other speaker was saying, that the Bharat Financial getting merged will certainly enhance the overall retail portfolio, and hence the numbers should look quite positive during this quarter.
Siddharth, but with IndusInd Bank, some would say that, okay, the stock has underperformed, it is not doing as well as what HDFC is doing or Kotak is doing. But the reason, Siddharth, really could be that they have a large exposure to auto finance, and that's where the slowdown is.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning, that if you look at their historical number, auto has been one of the primary growth driver for them. And this quarter certainly they will feel some pinch because of the slowdown on that. But I also have another view that probably if you look at most of the NBFC's commentary, NBFCs had been struggling to disburse loan during this quarter towards all segment including auto. And IndusInd certainly doesn't have any liquidity issues, and they might have probably captured some amount of market share from other players. So while there is expected slowdown on that business, it is quite possible that they might have gained market share. So I won't be very negative on their performance during this quarter. And even if there is some amount of slowdown during this quarter, these are the portfolio where IndusInd is quite strong as far as disbursement is concerned, as well as collection is concerned, if you look at their historical number. So I think the market had become quite pessimistic towards their asset quality over the last couple of quarters, which is not justified, I believe. And other than the one large accounts, the ILNFS, which was probably one of the biggest hangover, I think they have been on the right track. And even on IL&FS, they have already taken 70% provision on the holding company, and balance they might take an additional provision during this quarter. So that is something already taken care of. So probably market would now from this quarter onwards will look forward and beyond the IL&FS issue, where IndusInd is quite strongly placed. That's what my view is. And on top of that, in fact, the valuation also, if you look at last couple of quarters, the stock has underperformed compared to the larger peers like SDFC. Certainly SDFC is much bigger, but IndusInd was one bank which was getting the valuations like SDFC, and it has corrected sharply, and I think it is really good time to enter into, and I have a positive view on IndusInd at this juncture.
Kajal, let me get your pecking order in terms of which are the names you expect to see standing out in terms of performance this quarter between the heavyweights, not just the private names, even an SBI. Just talk to us about which ones you're expecting to see outperformance in.
So yeah, if you see in the current private sector space, we are expecting the good numbers from Axis Bank. Kotak is expected to deliver slightly decent numbers. What we believe, as Siddharth also said, we were also thinking the same thing, that somewhat auto slowdown is expected to be seen in banks like Axis, banks like IndusInd, Kotak, which have a retail portfolio and which is unsecured lending and auto heavy, versus the type of Axis Bank, where Axis Bank almost retails 40 to 50% goes on the mortgage side. So the pressure of slower growth in the auto or unsecured space can be felt more at players like IndusInd and Kotak, whereas Axis can be looking at more better in that sense. So, and HDFC Bank numbers coming down are also indicating somewhat slowdown. So maybe we will be looking at Axis Bank within the private sector space doing good, and within the public sector space, the largest public sector bank is expected to report the strongest numbers, and overall PSU banks are expected to report strong treasury gains, which will help the overall banking space to report stronger earnings versus, I think, a lot of other sectors versus what they were reporting previous quarters.
All right, thanks very much, Kajal as well as Siddharth, for giving us a roundup of the earnings outlook for banks as well as your pecking order.